Sonny walks away from the mob, and the timing could not be more dangerous. Let us start with Sonny because the decision he has made is one of the most consequential things to happen in Port Charles this summer, and the conversation about whether it was the right decision, made at the right moment, is one that this town is going to be having for a very long time. Sonny quit. He dissolved his organization. The mob business that has been the defining structure of his adult life, the thing that built his wealth and his power and his reputation, and that also cost him more than any reasonable accounting could fully measure, he walked away from it. Not under external pressure, not because he was forced out, but because something Jason said about Danny and about what it means to be a father reached him in a place that his usual defenses do not protect. The logic is clear, and it is deeply felt, and it is genuinely admirable. Sonny has watched what the business cost his children across decades that he cannot get back. Morgan is gone. The specific weight of that loss, the specific way it sits in Sonny, does not require explanation for anyone who has been watching. His children have been kidnapped, threatened, put in danger, used as leverage, hurt in ways both physical and psychological, directly because of who their father is and what he does. Jason told him something about being present for Danny, about the priority of his children over everything the life demands, and it struck a chord in Sonny that was already primed to resonate. He made the choice. He means it. But Dante, who should be relieved more than anyone, a police officer whose father is the mob boss he has sometimes been professionally required to go after, is a specific and exhausting kind of complication, made a point that cuts right to the heart of the problem. With Jason gone, with the organizational structure dissolved, who is in front of Sonny now? Who is the person standing between him and whoever decides to come looking? Because Jens has not been convicted. He is in custody. He is facing charges. But until a verdict is rendered and a sentence is handed down, Jens is a man who has every reason to want leverage over the people who brought him down, a man who has operated internationally and may have resources beyond what Port Charles can see, and a man with the specific kind of institutional knowledge and overseas connections that do not evaporate just because his local operation was dismantled. The previous criminal landscape of Port Charles has been significantly reduced. The 5 families are gone. Selena left town, specifically because of the pressure Jens applied to her situation. The organized crime world that Sonny used to navigate has contracted dramatically, which in one sense makes his exit more logical. There is less to run and less to defend against from the local competition. But Jens is not local competition in the traditional sense. Jens operates at a level that does not care whether Port Charles has 5 families or no families. And a Sonny who has deliberately removed the infrastructure that protected him, the men, the safe houses, the organizational relationships that made approaching him a risk calculation rather than a simple opportunity, is a Sonny who is considerably more vulnerable than he has been at any point in his adult life. He is not a stupid man. He has thought about this. He has weighed the risk against the cost of continuing to live the way he was living and the specific costs that living has imposed on the people he loves. He made a calculation. He decided that the danger of staying in the life exceeded the danger of leaving it. But the danger of leaving it is real. And the wisdom of keeping certain protective structures in place during the transition period, not rebuilding the organization, not returning to the business, but maintaining the safe houses and the trusted people until the immediate threats are genuinely neutralized, is something that everyone around Sonny should be arguing for loudly. Because complacency is the thing that gets people killed. And Jens not being convicted, yet means the thread connecting Port Charles to a genuinely dangerous man with international reach has not been severed. It has simply been stretched thin. Dante's nightmare scenario is finding himself investigating his own father's murder. That is not a small thing for a son, who is also a cop, to carry. And the possibility of it arriving before Sonny has fully understood that the transition period requires its own kind of careful management is the weight underneath every scene these two characters share right now. Port Charles needs Sonny to be smart about this. Fortunately, Sonny is usually smart. But he is also, always, a man who acts on feeling as much as strategy. And the feeling that drove him to make this choice, as right and as human as it is, may have outpaced the strategic planning that should accompany it. Josselyn is going back into the field and Hudson is her target. Now let us talk about Josselyn, because the story that has been quietly assembling itself around her all summer is now moving into the phase that changes everything, and the assignment she is about to take is going to put her in exactly the kind of danger that Carly has been losing sleep about. Josselyn has been in recovery mode. The injuries from her last active period of fieldwork, combined with the resolution of the immediate mission that defined her summer, landed her in a stretch of relative safety that felt both necessary and, for someone like Josselyn, slightly claustrophobic. Desk duty is not where she lives. Josselyn thrives when she is in motion, when there is something real at stake, when the skills she has spent years developing are actually being used rather than held in reserve. That stretch is ending. The WSB wants information about Hudson. More specifically, the WSB wants to understand who Hudson answers to, the people behind him, the organizational structure he is part of, the reach of whoever has tasked him with his current assignment in Port Charles. Hudson has been in this town for weeks now, and he has demonstrated clearly that he is not simply a businessman. He has hurt people. He has made threats. He has been working towards something that involves at least one missing child and a series of connections that stretch back into histories and secrets that predated his arrival here. The most efficient path to that information runs through proximity. And the most natural proximity already exists. Josselyn and Hudson have been crossing paths. There is a chemistry between them that is real and visible, and that Hudson has responded to in ways that suggest he is not immune to it. The WSB sees an asset in exactly the right position to get close to exactly the right target. Josselyn's assignment is to seduce Hudson, to use the connection that has already begun developing between them to get close enough that he reveals things he would not reveal to someone he did not trust. To become, in the professional language of intelligence work, his person, and use that position to learn who he actually answers to and what they are actually after. It sounds clean when you describe it in those terms. It is not clean. It is never clean. Because Josselyn is not a machine. She is a person who has been spending time with Hudson and feeling something that was not entirely manufactured and not entirely strategic. The chemistry between them, the tension that has been building in their scenes together, is real on both sides. Which means the mission requires her to take something genuine and weaponize it. To smile at someone and mean it, and also be extracting information from the interaction. To let Hudson believe he is getting to know her while she is getting to know the things about him that he would never willingly share. That kind of assignment leaves marks. On the agent. On the relationship. On the ability to know, afterward, what was real and what was performance. The most experienced field agents in the world struggle with the blurring of those lines. Josselyn is skilled and she is brave, and she has a specific quality of confidence that is exactly what this assignment requires. But she is also someone with a genuine capacity for feeling, and the person she is being asked to use is someone she has been responding to as a person, not just as a target. Hudson's behavior around information about the baby, the way he reacted to news about Phoebe's survival, the hidden device he used to get updated information, the clear indication that whoever he answers to wants that child found, tells you everything about the stakes of this mission. The people behind Hudson are not local players with limited reach. They have the resources and the reach and the specific goal that makes them genuinely dangerous to a very small and very vulnerable person. Josselyn may be the only one positioned to stop whatever comes next. That is the weight she is walking into. And she's going to walk into it because that is who she is, not recklessly but with open eyes and full understanding of the risk. Carly finds out, and the mother-daughter clash is everything. And finally, let us talk about what happens when Carly learns what Josselyn is doing. Because Carly finding out about this assignment is not going to be a quiet conversation. It is not going to be a measured exchange of perspectives between two adults with different risk tolerances. It is going to be Carly. Carly has spent this entire summer in a state of sustained low-grade terror about Josselyn's choices. The WSB revelation, the confirmation that her daughter has been operating in genuinely dangerous situations, the specific kind of maternal anxiety that comes from knowing your child is in harm's way and having almost no ability to do anything about it, that has been running underneath every other story in Carly's life. Valentine, the flash drive, the corporate situation. All of it has been happening on top of a baseline of fear about Josselyn that has never really quieted. And now she's going to find out that Josselyn is not in recovery mode anymore. She is going back in. To seduce a man who beat up Ethan. A man who made threats to multiple people. A man who is connected to powerful and dangerous people who want to find a baby and who are apparently willing to do whatever is necessary to make that happen. Carly's panic is going to be immediate, and it is going to be complete, and it is going to be expressed with the full force of a woman who loves her daughter more than she loves anything else in her life, and who is completely unable to simply stand by and let this happen. She is going to try everything. She is going to argue. She is going to appeal to reason and to emotion and to history and to everything a mother reaches for when she is trying to stop her child from doing something terrifying. She is going to remind Josselyn of what has already happened, of the injuries that are still fresh, of the fact that Hudson has already demonstrated he is willing to cause physical harm. And Josselyn is going to listen to all of it and then do the assignment anyway.